This is a brief overview of the new AVPro Connect MX9X HD Base T matrixing system. This is a stackable or cascadable system that allows you to have 9x9 as well as 9x18 or 27 or unlimited. This particular demonstration is a two-system demonstration. The system configuration drawer that we're looking at now allows you to set up the network settings in the gateways. For example, setting the IP addresses for the boxes to so that they match your particular IP address scheme in your installation. So the gateways that come with it by default will probably not be the IP addresses you'll be using, but you can go in and adjust those IP addresses and so that they match with the particular network configuration that you have at your particular installation. Important thing to do is to remember after you've set the IP addresses to what you need is that you also want to make sure, and it should be anyway, but you want to make sure that it's set to port 23 in each gateway. As you'll see, this is for system 1 because it has an A01 at the end, and so then we would want to also do the same for system 2, since both boxes will have independent IP addresses. Even though they're connected together or cascaded together, they will still be functioning independently in terms of network communications. Once you set the IP addresses up, you'll see that system 1 and system 2 now show with their respective IP addresses, and from there, if they didn't display, you could tap on the Get HIP A01 or Get HIP A02 buttons, and it would force the system to display the IP addresses. But you also need to set up your system addresses. The default is 0. We want to make sure that we set them up so that box 1 is system 1 and box 2 is system 2. Just tapping on those buttons makes that happen. And then down at the bottom is the sync button. Most likely you will not use this, at least not very often, but if there are any major updates to the remote, this available remote system that you're looking at, you will be able to tap on that sync button and synchronize with the server. Here are the three basic functions of the remote and the system itself for the most part. We have video matrix, quad and multi-view, and external audio matrix. We're going to take a first look at the quad and multi-view. This is either your 2x2 settings or your 3x3. By 3x3 meaning 9 inputs displayed split screen on all displays, or not all, or the selected displays that you'd like to use. And you can switch between multi-view and quad view. In quad view, you have the ability to set inputs. So for example, I can change the upper left quadrant from input 1 to input 7. Maybe the number 2 on the upper right is going to be 8. And I could have 6 as the bottom left and 7 as the bottom right. I can hit whatever combination I'd like. Next, we'll take a look at the video matrix, and then we'll focus a little bit more on the buttons on the side in a moment. Here's what our video matrix looks like. And you have the ability, if you look at the lower right-hand corner for outputs 10 through 18, there's a hand with a little swipe, a gesture type icon. You can either swipe between page 1 and page 2, which is between outputs 1 through 9 and outputs 10 through 18, or you can tap on the back of the hand of the gesture icon to switch rapidly. Either way works. It takes you to the same place. As you can see here, the matrix is set up independently of each other, but still using the same inputs. And this allows you to go in and change that to whatever inputs you want, just simply by tapping on the button. Or I can use the all input to all output buttons. So for example, if I want input 5 to go to every single display in the matrix, displays 1 through 18, I can tap on that input 5 button, and now all the displays are receiving only input 5. We're also going to now look at the audio matrix. I just tapped on that button on the right. The audio matrix works very similarly to the video matrix. Here you can see the lit up green speaker buttons, which indicate that those are the active outputs. And what we can do is independently control those as well. So there's outputs 1 through 9 and 10 through 18. And we can also tap on an input to all outputs button just by tapping on the drawer, and now you will watch as the system responds to that command and gives me the feedbacks that indicate what the current outputs are. So you always know what the outputs are going to be. And as you can see, I can switch between 1 and 9 and 10 and 18 and see the same. Now if we go back to the video matrix, similar idea. If I decide I don't want everybody to be in output 5, I can change that input, or I can change it to the quad view multi-view mode. As you'll see here, now the system will switch those all over. The switching happens instantly on your displays. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for the system to give us the feedbacks to the remote to indicate that, but the switching has already taken place. I can also switch from, let's say, quad view mode to multi-view mode. When I do that, it automatically changes to the 3x3 split screen that you would see on all your displays now, because I had the quad view multi-view input set to go to all the displays. I can also independently, as mentioned before, adjust the outputs so that they're not all using the same inputs. And that's very easy to do. I simply tap on the particular input-output coordinates for each button, and as I tap on them, you'll see how the buttons light up to indicate that I have changed that setting. So in this case, I've got inputs 1 through 5 going out to outputs 1 through 5, but then at the bottom I have quad view and multi-view going out to all the other outputs. Again, all independently adjustable. Very quickly I can just tap on these and make those changes, and you will see them switch on your displays instantly. The same applies for the audio matrix. When we switch back over to audio, at this point input 5 is going to all audio outputs, independent audio outputs, but we're going to go through and start making changes here, and as you see, just like the video mode, I can change my outputs to reflect whatever inputs I want to use for independent audio, external audio output. And that's a quick look at this new system. I hope you enjoy it.